was one who was working on computer engineering or science or whatnot. I saw somebody earlier, so I'm very happy there. And perhaps this some of the things that I do almost make sense to him, and I don't know how many others will be, but you will see. So in my classes, I give exams and quizzes, and but the students who ask questions, they get the best grade. Okay, so I will introduce myself here in the beginning, and then make sure everybody have at least one question to ask. Okay, so we'll do a question and answer later then. So here we go. I came to America more than 40 years ago. I was a high school student when my parents immigrated, and I came with them. And then I was a high school senior and came to America into Pennsylvania, and I went to high school again about 1.5 years. So total 4.5 years of high school I went. In Korea, I never thought I'll go to college. I just went to the Botech school and get skilled in, I don't know, mechanics or something like that to work. But then with my family situation, my parents are always fighting, and with some of the trouble, we end up immigrating, and I end up following them to come to America. And then here I saw everybody going to college, and it's so easy, and it wasn't that expensive. Back in Korea a long time ago when I was there, very difficult. You have to study a lot, and, but I wasn't cut out for the study. My parents, both of them, didn't even graduate elementary school, and then my mom still doesn't know how to add and subtract, and then she doesn't know how to read Korean, things like that. So I never thought I would go to college, but here in America, that was God's plan. Now I see that He put me here, and I end up going to the college, and then go to the graduate school, and now I teach in college, and then I produce college professors. So it's God's grace, basically letting me here in America then. Okay, so at Penn State, some of the things that I do. As you know, it is a Big Ten school, just like UCLA and a bunch of other schools there. We have about 12 or 14 schools. This is really big schools put together. And occasionally our school wins national football championship and things like that, but it's known for party school. We drink the most alcohol there on the campus. And overall, we have 90,000 students. And then our campuses distributed over 20 different campuses, branch campuses in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is bigger than South Korea. My campus is a main campus, and our campus alone, we have 45,000 students. So it's really a big school. This is the building that I work. My office is in there, and then my lab is there, and some of the people that I work with, they're in the picture. Things that I do, I design chips. So the chips that go into the cell phones and the computers, the CPU, memory, stuff like that, and plus other things. I'll show you a little bit later. And basically doing not only teaching but research, how to make the chips go faster, cheaper, and user-friendly, and last long with the battery and things like that. That's what I do then and teach. There you go. These things probably you don't understand, except there are one measure there, so I'm going to flip very quick here. This is what the chip looked like. But if you open this one up, you don't see this one. This is inside a plastic package. So one of the perhaps easy example, one of the work that I do here is this thing called pill camera. So it's a vitamin pill-like device, and inside there's a digital camera. So if you eat them, the pill goes down, and then you start taking pictures inside of you, and then you plug it into the computer screen. You get to see your guts inside as it travels through, and it takes typically about 5 to 8 hours to go through, and you get to see everything inside by yourself then. So this is already available. So we have a doctor who prescribed this one for you. You can go to hospital or a doctor's office and they give you this and you can do that. This is made in America. One pill costs about $1,000 or so. I tried to make it cheaper and better. This is Japanese proposal, what they're gonna do it, and then this is German made, but this is the one that is out there right now, commercialized, and then being able to get it done. So the pictures look pretty good there. Usually this procedure, endoscopy, you have to go to hospital and under the anesthesia, and then doctors have a long tether camera. They stick it into either your bottom or through your throat, and then it's very painful and then a long procedure. But if you have this pill, it will be very easy. You can do other things at home and then still be able to see, and doctors be able to diagnose. I don't know what these things are, but this one I can tell that it's bleeding. You know, internal bleeding, you can see blood coming out. So since this is already out, what I'm trying to do is put an ultrasound camera inside. And ultrasound camera is something that you can see inside without cut it open. So women get pregnant, when they go to doctor's office, they have this probe the doctors go through, and then you be able to see the baby inside. And typically they check, see if their baby has all 5 fingers, and whether it's boy or girl, and then you be able to tell. And that's the ultrasound camera. I want to put that into this small pill. And the things that I do at school is basically I design these chips that goes into it. And we have another professor who makes the transducer that sends the ultrasound signal and receive. We have another professor who does imaging from the signals, and then we have another professor putting it all together as a system. But my part is the circuit design and the chip design. That's what I do. So this is the ultrasound system you typically will see at the hospital. It's kind of big. Now, my job is to make it really small and tiny that we can put it inside the pill. That's what we want to do. And then the advantage is that not only just the surface that you see here, but if there's a cancer, tumors or other things, and then when you take the medication or treatment, whether these things are growing or shrinking, you'll be able to see those. So it becomes very useful if we be able to put this ultrasound into that small pill. So here are some of the transducers we make, and then coupled with the chips that I design along with my students, and then all of these things that I live with day to day. And designing these chips, that's what's going in, and then a lot of math also, and the circuits. These are tiny, and that's the part that I day in and day out work with. And so all the details, if anybody interested in just grab me, I can explain, but for most of you, I just flip it through and see what I see and live with. That's the things then. So all the things we do, we send it out to the companies to actually fabricate these things. And then when it comes back in my lab, along with my graduate students, we test them and make sure it works, and then we make an improvement and That's what we do, mostly the research. We don't do a commercial production, but design and development and research is what we do. So these are the works that what it takes. And then besides those medical applications, other chips like communications and again CPU and the memory and all of these that I work with. So we try to put a whole system into a small chip. That's basically what I do. The big ones, I make it so small. There you can see that's what we call integration. You put things together, make it very small. Then that's what the chips are these days, and it gets better and better then. So just flipping through some of the chips that we design, what's in it, the circuits for temperatures, oscillators, amplifiers, the other circuits that goes in, and that's my area. I love it and I enjoy it. Okay, and then I also teach and some of the students. Usually I teach senior and the graduate students and some of the students in my class. And usually in the beginning of the class, I take a picture and keep so that who's who I can remember. So students in my class. Every day I have a lecture, one lecture though. So that was my alba, my part-time job. And here's my real job, evangelist. That's God in me, and that's why God placed me there. That's why God brought me to America. That's basically my calling, and that's what I feel then. So. My home, we do have a regional church, 지교회, and also mission home and the 다락방 and all these things we do. Here are students that I work with and former students, and here's what I do in my office, 다락방 meetings, and students come to my office and we have a 다락방, and here's maybe this one is the 전도 camp forum. I think everybody understands Jondo Camp, the forum. Here's my wife there. And the students at the student center sharing the gospel with others. Forum time. My wife running high school student 다락방 then. And so there's the Penn State with the footballs and all the drinkings, and the students come there to study, prepare for their future. But we want to evangelize and help them to understand and be rescued from the curse, from sin, from Satan, from the disaster. That's how God placed me and my wife there. So here's my home. And we're in Pennsylvania right there, right on the middle. That's where the Penn State University is, right there. State College is the city name. We have two houses. This one is where me and my wife there, and then we have a boys. And right there next house, we have a girls' mission home. So all together we have about 10, 11 students living every day together. And boys are on this house, girls are there, but every day they come all here to eat dinner together, and then we do have a daily prayer meeting and worship and things like that. And so we call that mission home, living together, and to change the imprint, the nature, and their thinking and the root is what we try to do then. So some of the graduates from our school, they went on to become. He became professor right now at University of Georgia, and then she's a pharmacist, and they married together. And he was in my 다락방 Bible study, and then he brought a lot of students to the 다락방. One of the students, she came as a graduate student, and pray to receive Christ when she came to the Darakbang, and then she kept coming, and then they married together. She's right now also a professor. She came as a middle school student, I think, to our mission home. Now she's a professor in Boston. She used to be a professor at the New England School of, I forgot whether it's a pharmacy or the another name, but that's who she is. Now she's a 사모님. Her husband is the 목사님 in Seoul. So Pastor Lee, he comes to our church once a year, and he does the baptism and communion service once a year. This is Pastor Yu at the RCA, married those two back then. So our regional church worship service is like that, and students being baptized there. Now we used to have the second floor for our church service, 지교회, but now we are on campus. We register our group on campus as a remnant ministry, and then we are able to use all the facilities on campus for free for our activity. So that's my family picture. I have a son and a daughter. They're all grown, and then our remnants at the mission home. And this is more like what the classroom looked like in ours. And then we have a 전도학교 meeting there, and then also worship service like that. This is more like it there. You see the Pastor Yu on the Sunday worship, and sometimes we have a guest come from Korea to do the training for our students and 전도 캠프. And that's at our home. And we have a C4 there. A lot of acronym. I don't know all the churches' acronym, but Pastor Song I know. And one time over the spring break, we went down to Kentucky, where she's a professor there. We did the 전도 camp then. So those are the students we met. We were together, went down there for camp. Okay, so here's me and my wife there, and here's another pastor from California. I met him at the winter retreat in East Coast. I don't know whether this is Christmas time or somebody's birthday. At the mission home, we celebrate together. All right, so here's a couple students that I was remembering for having a darakbang. This student, he was a senior, came into my class. In the first class, I usually introduce and identify that I'm a Christian, and that I do lead a Bible study and also counseling with the students. And right after the class, he came to me and then say, I never seen a professor who's so confident, and he keeps saying that I'm different. So it dawned on me that God wants me to share gospel with him. So I told him thank you, and then why don't we have a lunch together tomorrow? I'll buy you a lunch. So we met the following day. We had a lunch together, but then I wanted to share the gospel, but he was just keep saying all the things about him and did not give me any chance to share the gospel. So I asked him, why don't we meet tomorrow again? And he said, okay. So, but when I was listening, he was saying that he himself has these 3 different personality inside. He's have a multiple personality disorder or whatnot. One of them is a woman, and then I knew immediately that's a demon. I don't know whether you've seen a movie called Beautiful Mind. This guy who's a Nobel Prize winner, and yet he's suffering this schizophrenic, and then it's really a demonic. There is a demon inside and that tortures him throughout the life. If he knew Jesus Christ, he could be set free like that, but he didn't know. And then people made a movie out of him. So the next day, again, he was just keep saying all the things. I couldn't share the gospel with him. And then so another day, next day, still met. And then every day I end up meeting him. But anyway, third day, finally, he said, he asked me, do you have anything to say? All the time he was saying. So I shared the gospel message, and I think, this one is from the Bible, but I think really helpful to you. Would you like to listen? He said, he wanted to listen. So I presented the way to meet God and why the unbelievers suffer, and that it is a spiritual activity, a spiritual problem. And so right there and then he accepted Jesus Christ. I think he was at the Wendy's or something there then. And then again, I meet him in class Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But even Tuesday, Thursday, I meet him every time lunchtime. It's a Bible study time. And then he started coming and start understanding. It took a long time, about 3 months, for him to realize the demonic activity that he was suffering. Now he sees his younger sister saying even worse problem. And so he's praying that his sister, who's a high school student, but his parents keep pushing them to studies and other things, and having this problem, not understanding. But this kid, student Nicholas, he understands now. He's the only one who understands the gospel in his whole family, and he can share with. That's what he's praying then. Brandon, I met him at the freshman time at the student center, and then I was sharing the gospel with him, and then he was so slow. And so understanding in him, only once a week I met, and it seems like taking forever for him to understand the spiritual things. But eventually he understands. He graduated about 5-6 years ago, and he still joined me in a Bible study every day. He comes in on the Zoom then. So he's my student, and then once he started realizing his spiritual problem and understood the gospel, he started bringing other students to the Darakbang meeting. And then one of the students, freshman from China, is her. And then she prayed to receive Christ, and then she come to the Bible study, and then eventually these two, they get married. So Nico right now, he finished his PhD, and throughout the PhD time, he got the fellowship, which is fully paid scholarship. Now he's work at AMD at San Jose. He's designing the next generation CPU there then. And then she's right now doing her master's in either MBA or business at the UCLA. So although Nico works in San Jose, but both of them, they're here in LA then. And then she evangelized him and brought him to the Bible study, and then he prayed to receive Christ. So that's why I took the picture there. And these two, they're still coming to my Bible study, and then it's for many years still. They're coming in every day, and they're used to the Bible study every day. Once a week, the thinking, the heart, the nature don't change. I found out, even every day we meet, it's still taking a long time. People don't change, their thinking, their hearts, and their roots not changing. Our business is we want to completely change with the gospel message, and the Word of God has to go in. So, but I realized through the Nico that it is possible to have a Bible study every day, and that's really what they need. When people suffer a spiritual problem, just once a week going to church, it ain't gonna make it. People need to change from inside, and Word of God. Sometimes they need a Bible study twice and 3 times a day to be able to stay focused there. Otherwise, they continually suffer. The moment they step out of the Bible study, again, 불신앙, unbelief, and then they get deceived by the Satan, and then they go worldly way. That's typically what I observed. Then he's the one that the most challenging person I ever met. He had a drug habit. Again, freshman year, I went to the dormitory area, and then he prayed to receive Christ. But because of his drug addict, the habit there, I tried everything to help him. It's not working. So I basically gave up. God, this person, I tried everything and it's not working. And so I just completely leave it at God. But every time he suffers, he knew that if he comes to me, he always hears the gospel message, and that's the only hope that he will get better. And so whenever he's suffering, he just comes. There's no time, no anytime, anywhere. He just come, and I always try to give him the Word of God and make sure that he hold on to Jesus Christ, that he's in it. And in the name of Jesus Christ, God can solve his problem. So that's him. And then even last night, I was here, he was calling me there in his home. His condition, when I hear his voice, he's a little bit better. I think this time it was sober. But when he's drugged up or sober, I can tell just by hearing his voice then. So continue praying for him for the rest of my life. For eternity, I'll never give up. And so, whether Satan wins or I win, I'm determined to win. So I know God already given me the victory in the name of Jesus. So some of the visitors to my lab from Korea, my wife, Mission Home Remnant, my daughter, some of you know Grace. Okay, so we have a bunch of students went through our Mission Home Remnants, graduating high school, college, and other ones. My wife's daughter and my son. I'm not. That's me, not son. This is not my son, but again, Remnant in my mission home. I try to treat everybody equal, not just my son and my daughter preferentially. Not that way. Everybody's my son. Everybody's my daughter. Okay, so this is how we meet 전도학교 and praise, and we pair up and we do evangelism, the student center. So that's what I do. 다락방, 팀사역, mission home, 전문교회, the college students, and then 지교회. We do have a pastor youth message on Sunday. In the morning we have 2 messages, first and second, and then in the evening we have a core message and then the remnant 전도학 and 2 messages. Sunday we have 4 worships and then plus every day there. But then my goal is to healing school, summit school, raise up the summits, and then make the 12 disciples and 70 workers and throughout America and throughout the world. That's basically the bottom line for our ministry then. So that's the brief introduction for myself with the pictures. And because I am at the Christian meeting here, I need to give a word of God too. Just quickly, before I ask you for the questions, why don't we read Matthew chapter 8? And my cell phone here on this place, it's not opening, so I'm going to borrow his Bible. Thank you. Matthew chapter 8, verse 1 through 4 is what we're going to read. But here's the key, when I came in here and see all of you, especially you're finished with your college and you're working, okay, and you want to make an impact in this world, and then really sincerely that's what you desire. But how can you do it? And then it's not working. It's not that you not trying. You tried and then it's not working. You know what I mean? So how can you make an impact? How can you help other people to hear the gospel message and saved? And how can you have a ministry, effective ministry? The people that we meet every day in your workplace, probably I think you already experienced. And people going for money, success, comforts, and the fame, and that's what people are going through and pursuing with their life. And honestly, I feel like that's being a slave. Most people, your boss and the co-workers, I think they're a slave to money. That's why they work. That's the purpose that they work, exist and live. Basically eating and drinking. It's just like an animal. So people without spiritual understanding, people without knowing God, they're slaves. Slave to people, slave to money, slave to their boss and job, and that's it. They're locked in and no freedom. And then they end up not knowing why they live, where they come from, and then why they live, they do not know. They just live, because maybe they are afraid to die. So animal-like. So we need to clearly present it to them that we're not made that way. God, when He created Adam and Eve, He really blessed. And we're not to be a slave, and we're not to live like an animal. We're different. God used His own hands to shape. And then He breathed a living spirit through our nostril. That's how the human life came through. So, but how can we do it? Sometimes I see for my past, I did the ministry not knowing all this one and not able to. Sometimes, still some of the students not getting it. I feel so bad, when students come into our church and then having a ministry with, and then when they graduate, they go to work in the society and they become slaves, and then they're oppressed and depressed, and they're doing what Satan wants and not understanding how to live a victorious life and make an impact, and then helping other people to be rescued from this curse and from disaster and darkness. It's so sad. How can we do it? For me, I learned through the failures. I tried everything and the thing's not working. Once I heard the Tarakbang message with the Pastor Yu, that opened my eyes to the spiritual area. And I'd be able to see, this is the work of the Satan. And then, if it's the work of the Satan, there's nothing I can do other than prayer. So, when you and I pray in the name of Jesus Christ, God has to answer. And we're the children of God. God has to answer. That's His promise. So here, for you and I, when we try, we will fail. I guarantee you. I experience it, and then you will too when you try. So rather than us trying, we need to receive answers. We need to receive answers when we pray. So here's one quick one. There I'll share how to receive prayer answer. So verse 1 through 4, Matthew chapter 8. There's many others, but just quick. I'll do this one. So Hanong, can you read it out loud for everybody?
Sure. When Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed Him. The man with leprosy came and knelt before Him and said, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus reached out His hand and touched the man. "I am willing," He said, "and be clean." Immediately he was cleansed of his leprosy. Then Jesus said to him, "See that you don't tell anyone, but go, Show yourself to the priest and offer the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them.
Okay, so this scene, can you understand who the main figures are? Two people, right? Who are they? Jesus and a leper. And so Jesus came down from the mountain into a city or into the village, and then a leper came knowing that he might meet him. How long will it take for leper to come to Jesus to meet? How long will it take for this leper to meet Jesus? It doesn't say, right? What did he do? First thing he did. What did leper did when he met Jesus? He knelt down before Jesus. Did anybody knelt down before any other person here in this room? You don't kneel down to somebody. Huh?
Said to propose, maybe?
Maybe a proposal. Huh? 세뱃돈. Okay, that's true. In Korea, we do bow down to our parents and the grandparents to get the 세뱃돈. That is true. But this person, why he knelt down before Jesus?
Desperate.
He's so desperate. Why?
He has sickness he has no control over.
Okay. I don't know whether you all understand the leprosy or not, but it's a skin disease. And you sleep at night and then woke up in the morning, your nose gone. Or your ear gone. It just all fall down. And so if you type leprosy or leper on the Google, you see all these people with very disfigured faces and their body and things like that. And the doctors cannot fix it. The king cannot fix it. The priest cannot fix it. That's it. If you have this disease back then, you're done. Your future's all gone. You cannot, because it's a contagious, you cannot live with other people either. They have to live far away outside the community. And I don't know whether he's from this town or some other town, but back then there's no car. And this person heard, he was hoping, only way perhaps he heard, that Jesus heals. He's a man of God, or I don't know what his understanding was. But he tried to meet Jesus. That was perhaps one only hope that he had. And let's say half a day or a full day he had to walk to meet Jesus. And then just coming close or near where people are, he's risking a lot of condemnation or threat, or people don't want these lepers to come near them. You know what I mean? That's what he has to overcome. But when, let's say for a day he had to walk to come to Jesus, what was he thinking in his mind? Healing. If I only can meet Jesus, if I only can healed, that was, otherwise his life is just completely gone, and his future is just waiting to die. So he was very, very desperate. And then as soon as he came to Jesus, he just knelt down before Jesus, and he said, what did he say?
Lord, if you're willing.
Yeah, Lord, if you're willing, you can heal me. You can make me clean. That's what he says. So I feel like, that's the prayer. That when he's coming to meet Jesus, and all the things that going into his mind, He doesn't care what other people say. He's risking everything there, and he come to Jesus. I think that's a prayer, such a desperation there. So, as a remnant, God, I want to help other people to be rescued. I want to be an evangelist. I want to be a disciple. You promise me that I'll follow you. You make me a fishers of men. We will fish men. And then I want to be 70 workers, 70 regions, 70 countries, and all over the world. I want to be an evangelist, your disciple. And you honestly pray in the name of Jesus, God will make you. Even though I don't have ability, even though you don't have ability, it does not matter. When God, Holy Spirit works, He said, you will be my witness in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, to the remotest part of the earth. So such an honest heart this leper has. And then, again, later in the chapter, there's other people who get healed. And every single person who come to Jesus, He always healed. And then chapter 9, even more people, even a dead person come and ask, my daughter is dead, asking Jesus, and then Jesus instantly bring her back into life. There's a lady who's suffering for bleeding disease for some 30 years, 40 years, I don't know, it says there, but then just by touching Jesus, she got instantaneously healed. So when the remnants like you honestly pray for evangelism to change this Los Angeles and the America, it's God has to answer your prayers. Okay? Excuse me. Thank you. Here, basically, that's what I want to communicate with you. Now, are there any questions? I told you you need to prepare one question in order to pass this one and go home. Maybe. Yes.
Do the camera pills get reused, and if they do, how many people do they go through before they? Oh gosh.
I'm not quite sure what their practices are, but the outer shell is a plastic that you can definitely clean or replace that pill and replace the battery, and you can reuse. I'm pretty sure there. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not married and I don't have children, but already I wrote out my schedule. And I have no free time. I wake up, I go to work, and then I do tarakbangs, and then I sleep. But I don't meet anyone every day. I only meet them once a week.
Right.
But you have 2 jobs, maybe 3 jobs, and you have a wife and family and mission homes.
Yeah. How to manage all that?
Can you tell us about your spiritual system? How? 25?
Honestly speaking, 그 한국말로는 생긴 대로 그냥 논다고 보면 돼요. 그래서 one thing is that when I get up in the morning, I usually have an alarm clock. Thank you. So I set up 2 alarms and 5 minutes apart. So when the first alarm goes off, and I wake up and then I get conscious, but I don't get up. So, as soon as I get my conscious back, I start praying. And my first prayer is always, in the name of Jesus Christ, Satan, be cursed, be bound, be cast into eternal hell. Just for me to pray, you be bound and go away. It doesn't cut it, I really hate Satan. He's the one who's stealing everyone's life. He's trying to destroy me and my marriage and my kids and all the remnants. That's the Satan's work. You can't see it with the eyes, but spiritually that's what's happening. Satan causes your parents to fight, divorce. Satan causes you to back down on your commitment, and then he's the one discourages you, and he's the one who oppresses you and depresses you. and make it impotent. It's a Satan's work. And once I realized I really hate Satan, I curse at Satan the first thing, and that wakes me up. I know the alcoholics, first thing when they get up, first thing is they need to drink the first drink. That wakes them up. Same way for me, spiritual fighting and prayer, that wakes me up and get ready for spiritual battles throughout the day. And that's how I start. And then, taking shower and things like that. And of course, I can still pray. And then sometimes, not before eating, but during eating, I still pray inside. So pray all times. And then another set time prayer that I regularly do is after the dinner. I usually do exercise, either jog or fast walking. I do. And then during that time, when you jog or when you walk, your mind still get engaged into a prayer. So that's what I made a habit out of it. Long time ago, Pastor, you always emphasize an exercise. You know what I mean? I tried it and I always fail. Doesn't work for many. After some time, I always fail. But now I made a habit. During that time, I pray. Now, if I skip that, I'm skipping the 정식기도, So I cannot skip that, and that's how I'd be able to do it every single day. And so during that time, about 30 minutes to an hour, just go straight and come back straight. They're easy. I can do it anywhere, and if I skip, I can do it at the midnight. Anywhere I go, I can still do that. So something that you can do alone, and anywhere you can do, always you can do it. That's the way I feel, your exercise and prayer should be. So that's when I pray. And when I think about our students that I have Bible study, the 다락방, 20 다락방 right now, every week. So at least 3 다락방 each day. 1 in the morning, students come to my office. And we have a 30-minute 다락방. And then I ask students, when they come to my office, pray. And then when they finish and go, they pray. So it's a prayer meeting, but I give the message and I do the same thing. And then evening time, I have English darakbang and then I have a Korean darakbang. English darakbang 10 to 11 at night. So LA student, my student, he comes in, I think it's 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. he joins me there, and then 11 to 12 is the Korean speaking darakbang. I have it every day. It was too hectic for many students having who's meeting when. It's just too much. I say I'm gonna have it every day. So whoever that I share the gospel with, and then darakbang, if he's English speaking, come to 10 p.m. This one, and then if it's Korean speaking, come to 11. That's the meeting, always, every day. So that's what I do. So 3 darakbang every day. And then there's still people like professors and other people, they don't want other people joining. They just want one-on-one. And then I have to wait until they feel comfortable before I ask them to join the other group Bible studies. But so almost 20 of them every week that I'm having. And the online one's easy because it's in my room anyway. And then my office, that's easy. But Thursday we have evangelism school. Our students and we actually go to student center and we go to dormitory and we do evangelism there. And then Friday I have a Bible study there, separate Bible study in the dormitory. Then the students who pray to receive Christ, right next day, I want to meet. And sometimes if I share the gospel during the day, even meeting evening will be really good. You really need to meet them more often in the beginning to get them connected together and make them feel comfortable to come. So that's what it takes. And then Saturday, other people, I also have a Bible study in the afternoon too. Then So the Friday and Saturday is the follow-up day, and the Thursday is the evangelism school that I had to demonstrate it with our remnants in the mission home. They come when we pair up, and then we do outreach then. So that's how I do. And then all the rest, I only teach one class a day. I have 2 classes each semester. Monday, Wednesday, Friday I have class, and then Tuesday, Thursday class I have one. So it's not a big deal. Since I taught these courses for a long time, I know what they are. And then remaining time I do the research. And then at home, my wife does most of the mission home activities there, and then the evening prayer meetings and the worship. And then my daughter also helps other things. So it's manageable, I'll say.
I have
Sure.
2 more questions. I'm so sorry. What time do you wake up in the morning?
I'm a late sleeper, evening person. So evening I can go long. And last night in the East Coast time, it's 4 a.m. That's when I went to sleep. And then this morning, he picked up about 9:30. So I got up at close to 7, and so it was, I think, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. is when I went to sleep, and then I got up this morning. 9 is 12 noon or in East Coast time, so it was reasonable. I sleep anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. As soon as I lie down, I sleep. I have no problem sleeping. Even in the airplane, I sleep well.
Sorry, my final question is, those are a lot of like individual, personal 다락방 movements that you're doing. Do you connect that later to the church and to the para movement in your region?
Yeah, so I share students, many students. So early this year, one of the students I'm having a 다락방 with, and then he told me that his roommate switched the school. So it dawned on me, that's a sign from God to have a Bible study in your room. So what? How are we going to do? Well, we're going to evangelize everyone on your floor. We're going to knock the door, and then we'll present the gospel message and see how many students join. And so we did. And then this student was so scared. The first time we went right across his room. He lives in a dormitory, so the kids on his floor, he sees every day in and out, and then they share the bathroom together, they go to dining hall together, he knows, and they know. So him and I go to his room, and then we pray, and then take the presentation, and then we go and start knocking, and he got so scared. No, this is how you knock, okay? Because they put headphones in their room, and we don't know what they're doing. They cannot hear it. Just be confident, And so the kid coming out, the very first student came out right across his room. He said he wanted to listen to what we need to present. I usually introduce, hi, we're with my name is Kyusun, and this is Jared, and we're with the Remnant Ministry here. It's a Christian club. And we have a presentation tonight, how a person can meet God. Will it be okay we show this one to you? And you say yes. Jared, and they say hi and everything. So we went into his room and we presented, and they usually listen very well, especially when the professor presented maybe. But it's actually a spiritual battle there. It's not because of the professor. God has to work there in a person's heart, opening it up, open their hearts. That's what God is doing. So the very first person there prayed to receive Christ. And after that, Jared and I went to his room, and then he started crying. He said, 너무 불신앙 많았다 그러고 내가 미안하다 그러고 그 학생 영접하는 거 보고 he cried. And then asked him to tomorrow Friday we're having Bible study in his room, just come on over. And then we wait and he's not coming. So we go and knock him. Oh, I'm so busy tonight, I have to do this when he's not coming. That's okay. And then we go to the next door and the next door, and then, all of them, we share the gospel there. And then overall, last semester, from January to April, we have about 15 or so students pray to receive Christ. We have 3 regular attendees who come to Jared's Bible study then. So, and then among them, Jared, now one of those 3, they're rooming together with the Jared. And so Jared and him now come into our church on Sundays. So it's many students, but there's few that will actually come to the Bible study. And even among the students who come to the Bible study who will actually connect to the church and then stay and grow, there are even fewer. So just give you a heads up what to expect.
네. 통역.
네.
교수님이 공개적으로 나는 크리스찬이고 내가 이런 복음을 전한다고 이야기를 하고 이걸 하시잖아요. 근데 그거를 뭐 반대하거나 아니면 그것 때문에 뭐 어려움을 당하거나 누가 반대하거나 그런 적은 없으셨나요?
So you
Never.
admit in public that you are a Christian and you believe in Christ. Have you ever has that ever caused any problems for you or caused hardships for you?
I never had any problem with the students nor the school there. Usually, first day and the last day of class, I'm entitled to say whatever I want. And truly, my heart is really, I want to help the students. So me saying, who I am and then what I believe and then what I do, that's fine with me. And then I don't cut the class time nor forcing somebody to present the gospel. Even in the dormitories and the students, my students come to my office for the homeworks and things. I always ask first, hey, I think I have something to tell you, but it is from the Bible, but it will really help you. Would you like to listen? And then they always say yes, and then they listen very well. And then when I go to dormitory or student center, always we say, my name is this and he's what. And then I ask them, this is a presentation, how a person can meet God. Would you like to listen or see this one? I ask them first. And then, these are college students. They can make their own decision. When they say yes, I'm entitled to say what I believe, no problem whatsoever. I never had any problem. Last year, though, one mistake I made was I told my student Jared to keep track of which doors that we knock and who we shared and who didn't respond. He need to keep track of all this one. So, but he didn't. So some of the doors we end up going knocking about twice or third time, and then this one guy inside, he got so mad, and then he called the RA, the resident assistant. So the girl came out and then pleaded with me, and then please don't do this one here. And I said okay, and then we stopped there. But that was close to the end of the semester, so it was fine then. Yes.
저도 한번 할게요. 보통 제가 알기로는 오바마 행정부였을 때 종교 활동을 금지했거든요. 어떤 학교에서나 공공 장소에서 종교적인 거를, 그러니까 기독교적 모든 거를 액티비티, 그러니까 전파하는 걸 전도를 금지했는데 그 학교는 괜찮은 거예요? 아니면 다른 학교는 더 괜찮은 거예요?
So, from my understanding, during the Obama administration, religious activities and evangelism was prohibited, especially in schools and public areas. So, is that school excluded from that kind of regulation?
I don't think so. You can't limit the personal freedom. Here we have a freedom of speech, and you can do what you want, and then if you don't force it, if you don't harm, you're entitled to all that freedom provides. And then anybody with their own idea, not just Christianity but any other idea, they're free to discuss and free to say it's not like communist country here, so you can't do that. That kind of limitation. So it is our own thinking, our own preconceived limitation. We put it on ourselves. Just set yourself free. Then know your rights, and maybe it's good to understand, what rights you have in the schools. And if the LGBTQ and if other people can promote their ideas, of course we can promote our ideas and our beliefs. No, not problem whatsoever. But I don't know if somebody from Korea and 한국식으로 if you force somebody, maybe you can get in trouble. But other than that, I don't see any problem in those cases. Yeah.
If you actually, when you do 30-minute tarakbang or upper room meeting, like how do you usually do it, and what do you say?
Okay, that's a very good question. So you have a tarakbang, and this person not only coming once a week, he's coming every day. And sometimes he comes in the morning and he comes out in the evening too. What do you say? How many messages do you have to do? Do you have all that? How do you handle all this one? Pastors, I saw Pastor, he's doing a homework for tomorrow, worship service, and he's, once a week, that's a stress. But how can you do tarakbang every single day, the same person? Not once a week, but every day a couple times, and every week you have to do. How do you do it? God. So nobody told me on these things. I learned it in a hard way. I failed many times, and basically listening to Pastor Yu, that's my source. So Pastor Yu say, God is giving him the message for the remnants, for the conferences, for people to hear. It is God working. So I really believe that, and honestly, even if it's 3 minutes or 1 minute, honestly pray, just like this leper prayed, and God really give the message that you need to communicate to that person. So during my exercise time when I pray, if I think about the student, God give me what to tell him. Sometimes I have to write it down because there's so many, I forget about things. And then I think about the Sunday message, pulpit message, and God give me insights. That's what it means. I start understanding during that time. When I think about these research things in my area, God give me new ideas. And again, I write it down. And sometimes somebody hear this one, what do you think? And then he said, file a patent right away. This is really good idea. That's how God inspires me and gives me. But when you do evangelism, when you do tarakbang, that's the quickest way to receive answer from God. Because God has to work right there and then. It's not just for you, but the people who need to hear the gospel message. God will give you the message. So I never worry about the message. And now I go through the pulpit message. So this week, John chapter 2. First part, first message. Second part, second message. And then usually our students, they don't get these 3 points the pastor made. So first, on Monday, we basically read the whole chapter. And then what's the main point? And then so help them understand what the passage say. And then Wednesday, the first message again. And then there, I go a little bit deeper and then show these 3 main points and why that is, and then how we can apply. Second message again, Tuesday, read the whole thing and ask them what they think and what the main point is. And then Thursday, we go through Pastor Yu's 3 points there. So Monday through Thursday, everything covered. And then Friday is preparation for the next week. So we read, because this week Pastor Yu went through the John chapter 2, I'm predicting this coming Sunday or tomorrow, he's going to speak on John chapter 3. If he skips, it's okay. We can go in. But students, we read ahead during the there, and then we do. I pointed and I make my understanding there, and then during the Sunday, it helps them to understand better. Then, and then Saturday. We do a completely different book, either Old Testament or the epistles of the Paul we go through. So that's how we go through, and then never lacking the message. Even the same person listen to all the messages; they're always different. Same passage, read it again. Today, this was the main point. The next day or evening time, different application there is different. That's what I experienced, how God gives you. God will give you the message, what to say. Then He said He will put words into your mouth for you to speak. And I don't need to worry about it. When you read the Bible, God will give you understanding there. You just have a little bit more understanding than the student, that's all it takes. But I learned so much from the Bible. So I feel like, 다락방 is the bottom line of any person. If you don't do the 다락방, you're not a human. So everybody has to do the 다락방. It will bless you, and that's how God blessed me then. I don't know whether that answers your question. Yes.
How did you become a Christian?
Up until senior year in high school in Korea, I was a Buddhist. My parents were Buddhists, and we went to the Choi, the Buddhist temple, and 4월 초파일, 7월 칠석, and then we put this, and then we bow down to Buddha, and that's all that I do. And then after I come to America, I couldn't speak English, and I got so bored here, and such a difficult time here, first time coming to America, not knowing English and no friends, and so. But then I heard there's a church that I was first arrived at a little bit north of the Philadelphia. That's where our family first arrived, and then it's just not many Koreans, but there was a Korean church that they just start meeting. So I figure, I calculated, if I go there, I'll probably meet maybe Korean kids at my age, high school age. That's why I went. I know I hated the kids in Korea who go to church for the girls and the boys and things like that. I hate it, but when I come to America, I was kind of so desperate and boring. That's why I went to church. And then, everybody was so nice there in the church. They're in general, not everybody, not all the people, but most people, they're so nice. And so I just keep going there, and then pastor even nicer. He really liked me, and he really cared for me. And I think true, from his heart, he prayed for me, for my salvation. And after about 3 years, he asked me to get baptized. But I wasn't really convinced that there's heaven and hell. There's a person who died and come back alive. How do I know? I never been to this place. But because of our friendship, I guess he pressured me there. I had to say yes to him, So deep inside, I just made up my mind, although I don't know whether this is true or not, but let me start believing this one. So I choose to believe that Jesus actually existed, and He died for my sins, and that He is God. That's how I made a decision, and then I say yes to His questions, and then that's how I got baptized. And the surprising thing is, after I got baptized, things make sense. Before I got baptized, Pastor always tell me that I'm a sinner. Come on, I'm not a robber. I never kill anybody, or even stealing, I may lie here and there, I may disobey my parents here and there, but I'm not that bad person. But he keeps saying that I'm a sinner. I didn't like it. But after I got baptized, I realized that, from the time that I wake up in the morning, when I get conscious and until I go back to sleep, every day, whole day, my mind is always about me. And me and my family, that's it. If somebody I thought, will be helpful, I go, I am. And then I try to be nice to them and so they can do a favor for me. If somebody, I feel like they do no help for me, I just completely ignore and then not treat them right. It's very selfish inside. I started discovering, and I saw the pastor, he was upright man, and then, even though he looked so stupid, if you live that way, nobody lived this day in that honest way and loving way. That's just a waste of his life, I felt. But deep inside, I knew that's the right way to live a life. So I realized, this is what it means by sinners. That I am sinful, and then everything that inside, it is a sinner. And so over a few years, that's how I was believing. And there was another turning point in my life. Basically, I graduated college and then went to work and then went to graduate school. And then that's when I left home. My college year, I just went from home. So, but then when I went to Penn State as a graduate student, it's all by myself. And then I was thinking, after I graduate here with a master's degree and get a job in a decent company, I'll be on my own. I'll probably not go back to my parents' home anymore. And then so I have to stand on my own 2 feet. And then I see myself 1 foot in the church and 1 foot in the world. And then it's very secular, very 종교 생활. 근데 그때는 그걸 몰랐죠. I was that kind of person. I felt that I need to make a decision. Either Christianity is true, then I need to be all in. If it's not, just forget it, bag it, and then I go completely worldly way. I need to decide. But deep inside, in my dormitory, I went to the basement there in the study room by myself. I honestly pray, God, if you're real, make me to believe the real one. I don't want this half church, half word way, and that's what God honored me. And from that point on, Bible started making more sense, and then my life just continually growing in faith to the point where God brought 다락방 to this remote Penn State, the boonies, way in the mountains. That now I'm very happy. I feel like I'm a main figure of the world evangelization along with you, and I'm a 영적 사령관. That's the way I feel. And then so what is such a blessing it is. And then when you honestly see God, He will answer you.
시간이 다 돼서
목사님 기도해 주시고.
네, 아니요.